Hey guys, Brad Korn back again with some more training, real world stuff to help you in your real estate business. And I thought, what a better time to share one of my secrets of real estate. As you start to see some of the stuff that I'm putting out for you guys to help you with your business and to help you get into production. That's what I'm really focused on, is helping agents get into production. In fact, if you've seen anything from me before, or you've seen me in the industry, you hear me talk about my database business and selling 100 homes a year for over 20 consecutive years. And guys, that's as a solo agent too. I mean, I've had my team as big as nine people, but I've also sold 100 homes a year as a solo agent. And it's more about the systems behind the scenes. And today, what I'm going to share with you is how to find listings when there are none, or when you don't think there are any. There is business around us every single day. And I think the problem with our industry is that we're taught to go get the next deal. We're also, because of the industry and because you go through real estate school and you're starting out in a new industry and you may not know real estate very well when you first start out, you feel like somebody needs to help give you the leads, buy leads, because we're looking for that next deal. So today I'm going to share with you some of the stuff that I do. I like to stack the cards in my favor, I should say, to have a better chance to find more business without calling cold leads, without talking to strangers that are hanging up on me, without people saying, leave me alone, stop, all that stuff. I'd rather talk to people that know me. They know what I do, because people who know you and trust you like doing business with those people. So you're going to see some stuff today, and I'm going to jump right into it and show you several things that you need to get a piece of paper. I can tell you right now, I've been coaching agents professionally for over 25 years, and I've been selling real estate for 34 years. I guess I can go to that next slide here so you can read a little bit about it. But I've been selling real estate for 34 years. And I'm like most people. Actually, some of you have probably sold more real estate in your first and second year than I did in my first year. I sold one house in my first year in real estate. That wasn't a collaborative environment. Here we share everything. It's like, why not share? I have yet to bump into one of my friends in real estate and steal a listing away from them or take a buyer away from them. There is so much business out there. You're not going to run out of business. Now, when I show you this today, where the listings are that you thought were none, this is an untapped, no competition world. And I know you've heard of things we're going to talk about, like for sale by owners and some other stuff. So what I do want to tell you is the first few slides here, hang with me, because it may be pretty basic and it's what you've seen before. But most of today, I'm going to take you through some serious, things you just never really thought about. And I hope that after I say them, you're like, geez, this is so simple. Why didn't I think about this? Because I want you to start thinking like this in your business all the time. I'm stacking the cards in our favor to find more listings that are out there. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is I have sold 3,000 homes over my career of 34 years. Over 20 of those consecutive years were 100 homes a year. And I've written a book, pretty good. I got blessed to meet one of the iconic authors of all time. And if you haven't read his book yet, E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, that's one you want to get into right away. And then I wrote E-Myth Real Estate Agent with him. I really do feel like, though, if you read his book first, it's so basic that you'll be able to apply the real estate stuff when you get E-Myth Real Estate Agent. And you guys should be able to track me down for anything along the way that you have questions or whatever. Just put Brad Korn, Kansas City Realtor in Google, and you will find me all over the place, and you can track me down. You find my cell phone, you can call me on it. All right, so I'm going to go into it right now. I want to just talk about starting to think different, okay? And this is what I love about a revenue share model like what we have. That is, if you can double and triple your production, that increases rev share, right? Now, you might not even be participating in the rev share model at the moment, but your upline is people that brought you in, people that you named as a sponsor are. So share today what you're getting out of this message today and say, man, Brad gave me this information. He's going to help me increase my business. They're going to jump on board and want to help you. It's also going to help you start your own or grow your downline even better. So what I love about, what I love about coming to EXP is you double production and you increase rev share. When you double production, you will attract agents. They're going to wonder what you are doing. And all you got to do is say, dude, I just saw a class on how to find listings when they're not there. And we've got that at our company, and they're just going to come over, and that's how you can start it too. So this is a big purpose for today's class. So I really want you to tune in, grab your papers, take some notes, write down any questions that pop in your head, write down any roadblocks. Like you hear something, you're like, oh, that won't work in my market. Find me, track me down, tell me why you thought that. Let's talk about it. So this is about collaborating. Obviously, it's kind of a one-way session today, but here's what I want to do. I want to get you trained right for today. And it's about becoming a ninja realtor. You want to do things and go places and find stuff where nobody else is going. I'm going to show you some stuff that I hope will blow your mind. Let me know. Find me on Brad. There's another thing. Go to Facebook, find Coach Korn, and it's Korn with a K. Go to my business page. I share stuff in there. I'm going to give you a website where I want you to give me your information, and I will send this stuff back out to you. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just sharing back the information. I'll give you that website at the end of the webinar today. But go where others don't go, okay? We're going to talk about putting a little sweat equity into this. Finding contact information for what I'm going to show you today. Finding a phone number, maybe finding their address is probably the easiest part in what I'm going to show you today, because we're looking for listings, right? But you're going to have to dig around a little bit. And I'm going to show you some ways to find those phone numbers and find that contact information. Guys, we're in the technology age today. You can find out anything about just about everyone. So again, we're going to get into this and you're going to love it. I hope you love it. You're going to have to let me know. So I know if I need to bring more stuff like this back and get these things posted and keep showing you more and more systems to do more and more things. But thinking outside the box, this is hard to do, because even if you hear a new idea, it may not mean that you're thinking outside the box. I'm going to bet that probably 50% of what I share with you today, you've never heard before. There's nobody else out there talking about it. But the way my brain works is I go outside the box and I kind of relate outside industries to the real estate industry and come up with these things. And now I'm bringing it to share it to you because it works for me. I'm going to show you real world what I do when I do these things that I'm going to share with you today. Schedule time to work on your business, on finding that business. So a lot of times people will just buy leads, internet leads come in, you just rip out these phone calls. You got to call back 20, 30, 40 people to get one person on the phone. Guys, that is the grindstone of business. You're working way too hard. Now, I'm not saying stop doing that, because whatever you are doing right now, you need to keep doing. It has gotten you the business that you have today. What I'm going to do is give you an amplified, more straight on way to find more business. So you got to schedule some time. You got to put an hour in your schedule 3 days a week and do the stuff that I'm going to share with you today, especially in the beginning, because it's new for you, right? Wait till I show you the detailed report that I pulled up. And it took me maybe an hour today to do it, but it is a ton of content. You're going to be blown away, but it's time to work on your business. And never think that taking a class a second time or third time is a waste of time. I am telling you right now, Brad Korn sitting in this seat, the reason I sell 100 homes a year and the reason I have been the top agent in Kansas City, one of the top agents, I'm not the top agent, but one of the top agents consistently. First of all, when I say top agent, tell me how many realtors you've met that they themselves sell 100 homes a year. One person, not a team of 20 people selling 100 homes a year. I'm talking about every person on the team selling 100 homes a year. That's what I'm talking about when I say top agent. I don't know many, if really a handful of people that probably sell 60, 70, 80 homes a year themselves, right? And it requires systems. So take classes over and over and over again. I'm going to reference another one that's already out, 100 homes a year, 100 sales a year, every year. That's a webinar you might need to watch 10 or 12 times. This one, you might need to go back and watch 10 or 12 times. It's going to be pretty detailed when we get into the meat of it, right? So, and then ask for business. you do have to go out on purpose. I'm going to share with you people who are sellers that should be thinking about selling any day now, right? So I'm going to show you those people. And so you have to start planting that seed that they may be moving and ask for the business. So remember, a couple slides here. I just need you to hang with me, and then we're going to take this plane off on the runway, and we're going to fly your business, right? So 20%, the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. The Pareto principle means that 80% of what you did today generated 20% of your income, right? Which means that there's 20% of the day that you did something that was actually generating 80% of your income. Maybe you actually picked up the phone and returned a couple of calls on people that were prospects or looking for houses, but that probably took you 15 minutes or 20 minutes of your day. What did you do the other 80% of the day? So what I'm going to give you is some stuff that when you start applying these things, it's going to get you focused into the 20% stuff that's generating 80% of your income, which is if you spend an hour finding potential sellers that are more likely to be moving now than just a cold random list of people coming at you, then that's going to increase your income because you're focusing your 20% on a higher ROI, return on investment activity, right? So here's the basic stuff. There's tons of things out there. You've probably already been through classes. What are the different ways you can generate business? You can go with for sale by owners. You can go with expired listings. You can go knock on doors. You can do housewarming parties. You can do first time home buyer seminars. You got all these different ways. Buy this website banner, buy that website banner. There's lots of ways to get business. But what you want to do right now is really sit down as of today. What am I really focused on? What do I want to do? And here's what I'm going to tell you. Every one of you listening to this can do 100 sales a year the way you want to do 100 sales a year. However, you can't be a couch potato. Okay. You are going to have to get out of bed, right? It's probably better if you get out of bed before 10 or 11, but I'm going to tell you, you can get out of bed at 10 or 11, as long as you're not quitting at 1 o'clock, right? If you get out of bed at 10 or 11 and you work till 7, 8 or 9, hey, you're getting just as much done in the day as I am. And technically I'm one of those guys, they always say, oh, don't let real estate run your business or run your life. I love real estate. So I'm working real estate a lot and don't even realize that I'm working because I love real estate because I'm not doing things I don't want to do. I'm doing the business that actually turns into business, and it turns into business the way I like to do it. I like just to hobnob and hang out with people and have fun. But then there's a very on purpose behind the scenes to capture their information and stay in front of them so that when they are ready to move, they know to call me. So it's not just go out and hobnob, have fun, woohoo, maybe they'll remember me. No, there's a system behind the scenes. So what is it you like to do? Make the list of all the things that you could do to find business, or let's just say in this case, find a listing. Then I want you to take that list, reorganize it. Grab whatever list is sitting around in your office, reorganize that to the order you would do them. If you had to do them all, which ones would you do first? Which ones would you do last? And maybe not do it all. Then once you get that list done, I want you to work through this exercise. And if you don't have a sheet that shows all the different things to start working through it, find me, Brad Korn, Korn, send me a message. I'll send you the form, right? And then once you organize that list and you write those out, I want you to circle the top 2 or 3 ways that you can do business. Here's one that you probably won't put in your top 3, but I kind of hope after you do, you're like, holy smokes, that's definitely going to be one of my top 3. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but let me know what you think. But I want to tell you how I think. So if marketing to a neighborhood, farming a neighborhood, door knocking, or any of that kind of stuff is in there, farming a neighborhood is what I'm going to use because that's what you may really want to do. Most people have a neighborhood they live in or a neighborhood they really like where they would like to sell houses. And so they think, okay, let's market to this neighborhood, get my name out there in front of these people, and I'm going to take over that neighborhood and I'm going to own that neighborhood. In 34 years, as of today, 34 years of selling real estate, there is not I haven't met an agent yet that owns 100% market share of a neighborhood. I'm not really sure if I know too many people that have 20 or 30% market share of a neighborhood. I've heard people say they do. So I'm assuming that if, 100 homes went on the market in that neighborhood, they've gotten 30 of them. But that also means that they haven't gotten 70 of them. And if they're spending a lot of money, and again, this would take a lot of money over a long period of time. We're talking 10, 20, 30 years of marketing to that same neighborhood every single month. Think about what the money expenditure is on that, right? So in those neighborhood settings where somebody wants to take over a neighborhood, I'm going to tell you, just because you probably won't ever get all of them, I'm going to tell you, you could have 60, 70, or 80% market share in a neighborhood. Here's how I would suggest you do it. This is a neighborhood, looking at a neighborhood of, say, let's just say 1,000 homes, right? Now that might help with the math. So what if I'm going to dominate this neighborhood and I'm going to find listings that nobody else knew were available? And this is my target neighborhood. Because especially when you're starting, you're not going to get the listings. They don't know who you are, and you're competing with other people that have been doing some type of marketing. Good news is people haven't done mailing type marketing in a long time. So in this particular case, I want to dominate this neighborhood of 1,000 homes. So I'm going to print out a Google map. Listen to me, guys, hang with me. It's so simple. Believe me, I'm a simple guy, but yet I'm selling 100 homes a year because I keep it simple and I keep it real. And the simple, real thing here is I'm going to draw a maze map from the entrance of that neighborhood. I'm going to draw a line through that Google map until my line goes past every door in that neighborhood. That means going in the cul-de-sac, coming out, going back down. You might end up getting back to the entrance and come across the street and go back to the other side. I want you to figure out what the map is if you were to walk past every door in that neighborhood. Draw it out, right? Draw it out. And in this example, if you can see it well, we got the little start button there, right? Now what you're going to do, there's 1,000 homes. You can take this neighborhood over in a year. In 1 year, I want you to write that down. 1,000 home neighborhood that I'm farming, I can own it in a year. So if I start at that entrance today, now I'm just going to use old school because this is how I did it, knocking on doors. This is when I started. Now, I wasn't smart enough to do this plan back in the day, but I knocked on doors in the neighborhood I was farming all the time. And I knew, and I met everybody, and I stayed in touch with them once I met them. But if you start at the entrance and you start at the very first house and you knock on the door, just visualize this with me. Whether you're a door knocker or not, you got to understand the concept that I'm explaining to you. I'm going to go past each door and I'm going to knock on doors until 5 people have answered their door. And just say 5 people answered their door. Hey, Brad, I'm a real estate agent. I know you're not selling right now or anything. I've always loved this neighborhood, wanted to introduce myself. I'm selling homes all over the area, and I'm here to help the homeowners just understand what's going on in the neighborhood, values, all that kind of stuff. So not here to sell you anything today. I just want to introduce myself. Oh, okay. Well, then they say, oh, well, that's nice. Great. It's like, so what do you love about the neighborhood? Now what I'm doing from a marketing perspective in these conversations, knowing that they're not moving because I'm not looking for the next deal. I'm going to talk to all 1,000 homeowners. There's not going to be 1,000 sales in there this year, right? In fact, you're going to see some verified statistics here in a second. They're not moving. So I'm just assuming they're not moving. Now, if I happen to knock on the door and they were thinking about moving, they're one of the small percentage of people that actually might be thinking about moving in the next month or two, they'll bring it up. It's like, wow, that's so weird you stopped by today. Did you know I was thinking about moving or selling? It's like, no, I didn't. But that's what I do for a living. I don't even tell you what to do after that. You're going to be fine. But what you're going to do is knock on doors until 5 people answer the door. And you're going to put an X on that house where they answered the door. So you know which house you've been to that you met the homeowner. Now, at the end of 5, you're done for the day. Okay, guys, listen, this is going to take you maybe an hour. You got to drive to the neighborhood, get out and walk, knock doors, right? And hang with me on the concept. It'll take me an hour to get 5 people to maybe answer the door. Let's say it's 2. probably the best 2 hours you could spend doing real estate, because nobody else is doing this, right? This isn't even thinking out of the box. It's thinking about inside a box that nobody does. You have no competition, first of all. So if you really like the neighborhood, consider the door knocking. Next day, start at the entrance. Walk past every house that you do not have an X on. The X's are the people that you met yesterday. You don't need to stop by those again. Knock on every door, skipping those houses until you get 5 more. Mark those X's. And you just keep going through the map until you've got every single house. Do you realize that at 5 a day, 5 door knocks a day where people answer their door, and you're going to drop a handwritten note in the mail following up? Thank you for taking time to talk about the neighborhood and and what you love about the neighborhood and the area. It was great to meet you. Look forward to keeping in touch, Brad. Right? That's what my note would say. Not about me, no business card, because they're not moving yet. They'll tell you if they're moving, right? Do you realize that at 5 a day, 5 days a week, hey, you're in real estate. This could be your full-time job, and you can make way more money than you could make at any other job that you have to pick up to get through the off months. Yeah, this is a full-time job. 5 people a day, 5 days a week is 25 people a week. It's 100 people a month. I said there were 1,000 homes in this neighborhood. It will take you 10 months to meet every single homeowner in that neighborhood. Pause for a second. Concept. I don't care if you're going to door knock or not. This is how I need you to think. You're going to own 1,000 connections in the next 10 months. I want you to take that number, run sales through your MLS in that neighborhood over the last year, and see how many homes sold. Because I'm going to guess it's at least 100 that have sold in that neighborhood over the last year. It might even be a little more than that. It might be 120, 130. And it's been 100 homes a year or more every year for as long as we can go back. And if it was 80 one year, okay, you proved me wrong. But you could have 60, 50, 60 sales in one neighborhood and never leave the neighborhood. You don't need any more business. 5 a day, 5 days a week, and you're going to put them on a follow-up plan. Now, I did put in here, Google Brad Korn 100 sales a year, and you'll find the other video that I've done. Guys, I'm just telling you, I've already had 2 regions call me and say, can you come share this with our group? Because the content and the information in there is so basic. Now, it's not easy. It's not easy to do 5 a day every day for the next 10 months. Can you guys join this revolution? I call it the relationship revolution. Join it. We're going to be building relationships 5 days a week at 5 people a day. Every connection that you make, and then stay in touch with them. It will blow your business up. So that's one way that you can do it. Here's another way. Again, this shouldn't even be thinking outside the box. But do you know, on social media, every single day on all different platforms, people are saying, great news, I just got promoted. I'm moving to Kansas City. That's where I am, right? I'm moving to Kansas City. That person just posted something, right? Let's just say it's on Facebook. Here's the crazy thing about Facebook. For most of the connections that I make through Facebook, where somebody's talking about moving or whatever, it may not even be a relocation. It might be, hey, we're sad today. We decided we're going to leave the neighborhood we've been in for 10 years, and we're going to move to our dream neighborhood, or buy some acreage, or moving to the lake, or whatever it might be. Here's the crazy thing about social media. Do you know that when you find that post, this, again, you got to be on purpose and work on your business every day, and you're focused on finding listings. In fact, every single day, put a calendar up and put the word 5 for today and say, I'm going to find 5 possible listings today before I quit working today. And I'm going to find 5 listing possibilities. It doesn't mean you have to get the listing. Doesn't mean you have to get a hold of them. You're just going to find 5 possibilities of listings today, 5 tomorrow, 5 the next day. I like the number 5. You know, people are like, well, how about 3? Okay, but you're working real estate full time. Just do 5. That's what I did. 5 got me to 100 sales a year. That's all the number I can tell you. I can verify that anybody who does that will get it. I have no golden spoon that made that happen. If I focus on looking for those 5 connections a day, and the great thing about like Facebook, for example, is let's just say I go in and search Facebook and say, anybody talking about moving, relocating, uh, getting married, whatever. And I'm just kind of combing through some things, and I'm finding things where people say something like, we're leaving our neighborhood and we're going to go, we're going to start looking for some acreage. Fun thing about Facebook or social media is on Facebook, I can click their friends tab and it says, oh, here's your mutual friends. And there's almost always 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are mutual friends. Well, if I don't know how to get a hold of this person, what better person to contact than your mutual friend, right? To call up Joe and say, Joe, hey, do you know Sally and John? And they're like, oh yeah, we go to church together. It's like, okay, oh, cool. I saw, I'm always working real estate, and I saw that they were thinking about moving. I just wondered how well you knew them. I wanted an opportunity to at least be able to help them, so I can know they have a great experience, right? And of course, Joe by this point should already know. And if he doesn't, you're going to watch 100 sales a year and make sure Joe does know that, oh my gosh, yeah, they're thinking about moving. They need to call you. Or, yeah, I told them to give you a call. That's what you'll start to hear if you do this stuff over time. So you've got a lot of connections in a lot of ways that's where I want you to be persistent and consistent about finding their contact information. That's not the easy part. However, it's way easier than it was when I started back in the day, because we have the internet and everybody puts their whole entire life on the internet. So I'm about to show you some stuff here. And again, write down the questions that you have about this stuff so you can get a hold of me and I'll answer them for you. Even though I sell 100 homes a year, and even though I'm helping and coaching agents, I still answer my phone. And most of my life is systematized, so I'm not like grinding out. Listen, I have all my hair. It is just starting to get a little gray over here after 34 years of real estate, but that's 3,000 sales. If my numbers serve me correct, I've got another 30 years. I'm going to be 90 something before I'll be at 6,000 sales, and I might start to have gray hair then. I don't know. We'll see it. We'll see what happens. If I'm still doing webinars back then, come check on me. So here's another one. What I'm about to show you is how to find some listings that you probably never ever thought of. And believe me, I'm going to show you real world how many listing opportunities I found just in today's report that I did. This one will keep me busy. This is not something I do every single day, but this is what I do every day, following up on these listing opportunities. And I found over 70 of them just today. Lakefront properties just today. I'm going to share that with you. In pulling that stuff up, what I saw was, when you see how I pull these up, I pull up the history. This is a great marketing piece to show people that when you go to that neighborhood and you knock on the doors, right? The first step is to drop a handwritten note in the mail. Just say, it was great meeting you. Glad you answered the door. It was great to hear about your neighborhood. By the way, the neighborhood part, what do you like about the neighborhood? What don't you like about the neighborhood? That's my content. That's my content to go to this neighborhood for all the follow-up that I'm going to do. One of the pieces I mail to that neighborhood is showing them the appreciation that's happening. This particular property, I mean, it was like 10 years ago. I got to put my glasses on, but it was like 10 years ago. This thing went up like $24,000 in value. Somebody bought it at the very beginning, at the very bottom of the page. 10 years later, they sold it. And they made $24,000 equity over 10 years from what they paid for it. But then it sold again 6 years later. And what's interesting is just 6 years later, that thing sold for $28,500 in equity. So it was a little more than the 10 years, not much more. But then it sold 4 years later again, and they made over $90,000 equity. So in just 4 years, that thing went up 25 grand a year, where it took 10 years for this house to go up 25 grand the first time. I don't know if your MLS has history available. There's got to be a way for you to find the history on some sales. When I'm doing CMAs for houses and I find a neighborhood where I pull up a comp and I look at the history and I see how much it appreciated over the year, I grab that piece and it becomes my marketing piece to that neighborhood. Because when I list a house in that neighborhood, I'm doing the same thing. I want to grab the neighbors around there, go meet them, figure out a way to get in front of those people and help sell that listing and meet more people. So here's a way to find listings. To find listings, you want to give a buyer a place to buy, right? Think about this for a minute. Somebody's been in their house for 5 or 10 years. They like their house. They're busy with life, or maybe they're tight on money, credit cards, just like any economy that we're in. They're happy where they are. They haven't thought about buying or selling. But here's the thing, with the National Association of Realtors and the trends reports that you can buy in real estate and wherever you can get your trends for your market area, it tells us that people move up 1.5 times from where they are. So in my market, if you live in a $200,000 house, they're probably going to move up 50% of that, $100,000. So they're going to move into a $300,000 house. So if I want to sell, if I want to find a listing, right, and I'm looking in a neighborhood that might have sold for 200,000, if I start sending them homes in the $300,000 price range that are around where they currently live, 5 to 10 miles of where they currently live. Think about schools, right? Trying to keep kids in a certain school district, things like that. But just follow me on how the brain is thinking outside the box on how you can go find listings. So if they've been in their house, say 5 years, right? Everybody moves every 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. If they've been in their house for 5 years and they bought it for 200,000, or it could sell today for 200,000, they're probably going to buy a $300,000 house. That's a jump for them because they've been there 5 years. They've appreciated to 200,000. Can you imagine what a $300,000 house looks like to them, right? Or even a $200,000 house today. But they're going to be looking in that range. So I can go 10 miles around where they currently live, pull up homes that are in the $300,000 price range, and I could send that to them and just say, hey, I know you're not moving or anything, but I thought you might want to know about some of the homes that are hitting the market and what their prices are. And they're going to see neighborhoods that they like in the $300,000 price range, and they're going to already be thinking about this. This is a listing that nobody has. Nobody knows it. They don't even know they're a seller yet. Guys, that's what I'm talking about today. This is what I want you to do. So if you did that search, if you find a seller a house they want to buy, they're going to list faster than they would. Okay, let me take a breath for a minute. This is detailed, but it's not. You can go into your MLS, and I can't imagine there's an MLS that doesn't do this. You can go back and pull up properties that sold 5 to 10 years ago. Listen, properties that sold 5 to 10 years ago, there is an 80% chance those people are going to be buyers in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, on and on. There's a 20% chance that if those people are still in their house after 5 to 10 years, there's a 20% chance, or there is 20% of them, whatever's on your list, 20% of them are moving in the next 12 months. Those are listings that nobody else even knows are listings yet. And all these programs and computer systems that are selling you the list of people that are most likely to sell or buy, they've got computer programs doing this. But I'm telling you, when you do it manually yourself and you understand it, you will see that you have a way to connect with those people faster than a cold lead. Because when you find the 20%, or when you find those homes that bought 5 to 10 years ago and they're most likely going to move, and I start going through that list and find our mutual friends and find their phone number and do whatever I can to be on purpose doing real estate to get in front of them and plant the seed, whether that's through a house they may buy or just saying, hey, have you thought about selling? Maybe it's refinance. They might want to need to do some work to their house. They could refinance right now. You hook them up with your best loan officer. All of a sudden, you start bringing your best LO business for refis. That business is going huge right now. Well, it doesn't matter what time of the market it is, it's always there, right? But that could be the stepping stone to get them on the market in a year or two. I hope you're following me. Okay. So I'm going to say 5 to 10 years back, 5 to 10 years back. I'm going to tell you an example right here. What I did was I looked for January 2020. And so right now, when I'm recording this, it's 2025, right? So January 2020 to December 2020, the end of the year, I had 1,421 homes that sold, right? Now, that's 1,421. Who still needs to buy some leads? Tell me who needs to buy leads when you got 5 years ago. There's 1,421 people on a list that have been in their house that long. But what I did, this is my marketing. I wanted to target, right now I'm targeting lakefront properties, right? I want to get into the lakefront property business because I live at a lake. And gosh, if I start selling, if I get the houses in here, believe me, there's 25 or 30 realtors that live in this neighborhood of 1,000 homes. They're all average price $1 million and up, right? And I've got 30 realtors competing with me that have lived here way longer than I have. So I'm not going to try and outmarket them or outspend them or anything. What I am doing is the last 4 years, I've been working on relationships. And through those relationships, I've had a couple. I've had 2. But those relationships keep building and they're being dripped on, and I'm going to start taking this neighborhood over. So when I did this, look at this, guys. I did lakefront homes, right, with docks so that I could keep it really specific to the higher price ones. I got 92 of those 1,400. Give me a more specific list to start with. That gives me a real list to start with. So here's what you do. Then what you want to do is you want to go through those and see who has moved and who has not. So now we're talking 5 years. In 5 years, 73 of the people out of 92, 73 out of 92 have not moved yet. I got 73 listing opportunities that 92 out of 92, guys, 19 of them moved. 19 of them moved since they bought 5 years ago. You want a validation on numbers? When I tell you that 20% of the population is moving at any given time, it isn't me. It's a statistic that National Association of Realtors puts out. It's a statistic you should hear everywhere. Do you know that 20% of 92 people is 18.4? Drop the mic. What? It's for real. When I tell you you have 1,000 people in a neighborhood, 200 of them are moving every year. 200 of them. If you got half of them, that's 100 sales a year. There is absolutely no reason for anyone to sell 10 homes a year, 12 homes a year, 20 homes a year. And if you're in charge, if you have a big team of people, there is no valid reason that your people should be only selling 20, 30 homes a year. Help them sell 100 homes a year and they'll never leave because they probably won't be able to handle the transactions on 100 sales a year, even though I do. Got systems for those too. I'm sure you'll get a training class on that, right? But that is, guys, there's the numbers. 72 people are my opportunity. Now, here's what's crazy. Some of the people that sold, I pulled up the same sheet you saw earlier, right? This person in 5 years got $92,000 equity. Every house that was already sold in the last 5 years, I pulled up what their equity is. Because in that neighborhood where my 72 people are, if they're in this neighborhood, I'm going to share this sheet with them and say, do you remember when so-and-so just sold? Well, you know how much equity they got? Listen, this one is still there. So when I pulled up the history on one that it looked like they had moved since they bought, back in 2020, they haven't. They've tried to sell 2 more times. They've tried to sell 2 times. This is a listing. Like, you probably have a 90% chance of listing this one. But I got to show you a couple of them in here. Look at this one. $635,000 in equity in 2 years. 2 years. Lake Property. Guess who's getting this flyer in the mail? Do you know how much your neighbor made in 2 years? Got $600,000 equity. I've had another one that was just absolutely insane. It was, let's see here, $560,000 in 2 years. $560,000 equity. Guys, if you don't own any real estate, you might want to start buying some real estate. Every house but one out of the 18 that sold for less. It was a foreclosure. 1 out of 19 sold for less. Everything else sold for over $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 equity a year for whatever year they were in their house. So sales 5 to 10 years ago, gold mine, absolute gold mine. I hope you guys are enjoying this stuff because, when we record these, I don't get to see you as much. But if you're listening to this, tell somebody, tell a group of people you know, tell your best agent friends. We got to get Brad to come do this one again, do it live. Then we'll interact and you can ask me questions. I'll do this again 1,000 more times if I need to. I am here because the rev share model and increasing production, helping everybody double, triple, quadruple their production is going to blow the real estate market out of the water, and our rev share is going to go through the roof. Everybody's going to quit their jobs to become a real estate agent. Okay, here we go. What subdivisions have activity? Here's another one. So I said earlier, when you're targeting a neighborhood that you want to farm, go see what subdivisions are having the activity. Back in the day when I was buying, I tried buying some leads when they talked to me about it in the early days. Biggest waste of money ever. But I thought, if I'm going to give this a try, and all my friends that I talked to said it never worked, waste of money, you can't get out of the contract, blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right, if I'm going to do it, because I need some money, I need some business. We're talking, this is my first few years in real estate. Because once I figured out the relationship thing, I just started accumulating names in my database and relationships, staying in touch with people. That, by the way, is in 100 sales a year, every year. When you watch that one, I'll show you how I did that. But what I would do is I'd be like, all right, so if I got to pick subdivision or zip codes, and actually I did have a gentleman that paid for a mailing. He paid for about 15,000, 20,000 pieces that went out every month. And it was basically the statistics for their neighborhood. It would show you the high, the low, the average sale price, days on market. And we had a whole piece together. That I got a ton of business from. He paid for all the mailings. I just paid him back half my commission to pay back for the mailings. Then I got to keep half the commission of what I wouldn't have gotten anyway, right? But what I did in that is I wanted to figure out what zip codes had the most activity. See, let me pause here for a second. Your favorite neighborhood that you love, that you want to own, may not be the neighborhood you need to be farming. If it's a gated community with upper class, 50, 60, 100 homes, guys, if there's 50 homes in there, there's no more than 5 or 6 of them selling a year. That is not a neighborhood that you want to spend your time marketing to, or do it in your spare time. What I did was I went and found the neighborhoods that had 100, 200, 300 homes moving every single year. Now that might've been a 1,000 home neighborhood, but I wanted homes in neighborhoods that were turning over. So there's another one. If you pull up a favorite subdivision you have and you're trying to figure out, ooh, I want to do that door knocking thing that Brad talked about. That sounds awesome. Or somehow get in front of every one of those homeowners and check that box off or check that house off the list. If I'm going to do that, pull up the neighborhood that's got activity. Pull up one that's got 100 sales a year so you know, right? So that's another way you can find out which neighborhood you really should be working in, and you're going to take over that neighborhood. All right, here's an easy one. Old expireds. Actually, your old internet leads. Somebody has a list of thousands of internet leads. Do you know I convert internet leads 1 year, 2 year, 3 years later because I leave them in my system? They don't get out of my system ever until they die or they move and I can't find them anymore. I keep reaching out to them. Now, I don't do it diligently. I don't call them every week for the rest of their life. They might get a random call from me once a quarter, twice a quarter, or once a quarter, 2 times a year, or something like that. And I just might catch them on the year that they ended up moving. Do you know that of all the internet leads that come through, probably 60 to 70% of them don't buy yet? They might not buy for another 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years. In fact, here's what I'll tell you about internet leads. When you get an internet lead, they just click the button. How many of them have not been approved, have not been out looking for a house yet? You've got them before they're even a buyer. So they are probably just thinking about it and going to be a buyer in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Do you know that nobody keeps track of them after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? All I do is stay in touch with them for months. But let's get back to expireds because we're talking about listings today. Pull up old expireds. Anything that expired, again, you pull up expireds from a year ago or 2 years ago, because now they're going to be starting to think about it again. They just got busy. They got busy with life. A kid got married. They had a bad market that they started in. They got discouraged, but now they're hearing that the market's good. The market's going well, whatever it might be. A year to 2 year old expired leads. Now, when you pull that list up on your MLS, expired 2 years ago or 1 year ago to 2 years ago, go through the history and see if they've sold since then, if they came on the market since then. Out of those 92 listings that I pulled up, one was active on the market. One. 18 sold, one was active, 72 are still fair game, and they're thinking about it. Same thing with expireds. Guys, did you write that down? Expireds, that's so simple. These were people that wanted to sell. Something happened and they didn't sell. What a great way to open up the conversation. Hey, I noticed you were on the market and you tried to sell a year or two ago. And if they go, well, how'd you find that out? Well, I'm a real estate agent, but I do this full time for a living and I help people. So it's my job to know these things. I'm just telling you that's out there. And I knew, is there anything that happened that didn't go well? You know, what happened? Oh, I'm done. And then they'll start telling you their whole story, guys. This is not, it's like you're cheating the cold call system because you're giving them a reason to want to talk to you, right? So once you go in 5 to 10 years old for solds, 1 to 2 years back for expireds, pull up the history and see if they resold. Then you will mark that list. If you saw my list, I had the check boxes on the ones that are still available. Those are the ones that I'm going to start pulling up the house, pulling up the tax records, starting to see if I can find them on social media. I'm going to use, here's one, write this down, fastpeoplesearch.com, fastpeoplesearch.com. It's free. Now, it's probably will get you some phone number and some address right 70% of the time, but it's going to show you all their past addresses. It's going to show you all the past phone numbers that are attached to this name. Sometimes you have to put their name in. Well, you know what city they live in. You can put their name and city, search that way. And then once you find a phone number, try the reverse phone number and see if that pulls up the same information. If you see a husband and a wife spouse name on the tax record, put them both in. Right. And I'm just saying, this is the part where you got to do a little bit of just grind it out a little bit, but grind it out on the right activities. Don't grind it out like digging up internet leads and seeing if you can get them on the phone. Not that you're going to stop doing that, because that does convert 1 to 2% of the time. And if that's what you've been living on, you don't want to shut off where your income's been coming from. You just want to layer this in, start working a little harder or working on your business now versus in your business, just returning phone calls. Focus on that. So get back in there and see how to dig up their information. Here's another one. Any missed listings that you ever had? Have you ever gone back in and looked at when you didn't get a listing, or like it's towards the end of the year? This time frame from Thanksgiving to New Year's, I really focus on my database cleanup. My database cleanup means I go back through every listing opportunity that I had this year and I see if they listed or if they're still there or if they sold. And the reason why I do that is because if they listed with somebody else, and actually I catch this when it happens now because I do it throughout the year as well. But if they list with somebody else, I have a follow-up campaign that follows up, reminds me every month for 6 months to keep checking their listing. In fact, think about this for a second. Just watch. If they listed today with somebody else for whatever reason, first of all, I try and get a hold of them and find out why. Hey, I'm not bugging you. I just like to know why, what I may not have told you, so I can make sure I help my next client make a better decision, right? I may not say it exactly like that, but you get what I'm saying. I want to know why they chose somebody else. But they most time, about half the time I get a hold of them, I find out, half the time I don't. But I'm going to start a campaign on today, the day they listed with somebody else, that's going to remind me every 30 days just to pull up the address and see if it's still active. Because 30 days or 60 days or 90 days from now, whenever, if they did a 30-day listing, a 90-day listing, or a 6-month listing, the day that thing expires, it will be on my to-do list to call them or to check. And if that thing is expired, I'm calling them that day. Guys, I have gotten listings this way. In fact, when I make that call, every single time I say, hey, it's Brad. I'm sure you remember me. I probably bugged you a lot from the beginning. And they're like, oh, yeah, we know. It's like, listen, guys, I know somebody said something, I don't know what happened. You chose somebody else, and I was rooting for you every day that you were going to get it sold, but I noticed that it expired today, and I just wanted to make sure you knew that I'm still here to help you. And they're like, yeah, we should have. It was a friend's daughter. We knew we probably should have called you back. That's what I get most of the time. Listings that you didn't know were there are the ones you've already been to. Right? And if you blow this off, they could go through 2 or 3 more realtors before they get their house sold. Guys, you got to grab this opportunity and find listings. We dominate the market owning listings. Listings attract buyers. If you like working with buyers, get more listings, because you're going to get more buyers if you got more listings. So get them off the fence. Here's a couple other things. The people you're meeting now. Now we're not talking necessarily about listings that you don't know are there. These are listings you're at right now. And they're like, okay, well, thank you for the information. No, you got to be on purpose to get them off the fence. Here's a couple of scripts that I'm going to give you. I don't know if you can write these down, so you might have to hit pause and play back. Remember, repeat, repeat, repeat. Watch this thing over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Here's your your script for definitely moving. Well, let me ask you this. So this is great information. Thank you. We're going to talk about it. It's like, hey, I appreciate that, and I'm available for you, and I'll be ready the day you guys are ready. Let me leave you with one last thought. Are you guys definitely moving? I mean, like, it's for sure you're moving. So if it's new construction and they're digging the hole, they're absolutely moving. If it's a job transfer, they're absolutely moving. So I just say, are you for sure absolutely moving? Now, 90% of the time, they're going to say, yes, yeah, that's why we had you over here. We are moving. We know that for sure. Okay. Then here's what I want you to consider. Between now and when you go on the market, you are actually missing buyer opportunities. The buyers out there between now, today, and when you do get on the market might have been the buyers that would have loved your house, loved the area, and paid your full price, paid more than your full price. You could have 2 buyers out there competing, but you won't know they're out there until you hit the market. When you hit the market, you only get the buyers from that day forward. I mean, who can dispute this script? It's not a sales script. It's just talking reality. The buyers that are out there today are going to buy something, right? And you'll get the buyers from the day you hit the sign until they get there. So what I tell them is, what you're probably concerned about is if you guys know, you're moving for sure, and I put a sign in your yard today, and I bring you an offer tomorrow, that would freak you out. But what if the offer is even $20,000 or $30,000 under your asking price? You're not going to take. Would you take it? And they're going to go, no, we wouldn't take it. Exactly, you wouldn't take it. So if you sell before you are ready to sell, when that day comes up, if you sell before that day, you're not going to take less money. You're going to say, you know what, pay me full price. Or if they walk, you didn't miss them anyway, because you were going to wait to put your house on the market. That's not how it will play out. Okay. Next one. Is this the best time of year to sell? Standard script. It's, guys, I just put 2 listings under contract, closed a buyer, got another contract accepted this week. At the time of this filming, it's December. People aren't moving. 4 in a week. Come on. Real estate happens 24/7, 12 months a year, all the time. People have to move different times of the year. All this means, and here's how I would use that. Said you wouldn't believe this, but December, January, February are probably the best months for you to get the most equity possible. Get the most equity possible because there's less houses on the market. Even though there's less buyers on the market, they're moving in the wintertime. They're moving during holidays. They have to move. So they don't have as many houses to choose from. You don't have as much competition driving your price down, supply and demand, right? And they have to move. So what people don't realize is you probably get about a 1, 2, 3% higher sale price for sure in this time of year. This time of year, you don't have to do as much staging. You don't have to do all this stuff. And we'll look at that on the market analysis. Do you guys get the message though? If that's your market, use that message. My hook, line, and sinker is the one where I say, if you put the sign in your yard, if you put the sign in your yard a week from now, you actually have lost the buyers that might have bought your house. If you're moving for sure, that's your hook, line, and sinker, man. You get them in. All right. Got to pull this thing together. A couple things here and we'll wrap up. Got you a full hour of content here. Closing and staging scripts. I try to make staging and that stuff simple, right? Make it real simple so they don't have to feel overwhelmed with all the things that are coming around. So a lot of times in this market, I will say on the call to get the listing appointment, I'll say, they'll call and say, well, there's some things we need to do around the house. And it's like, well, it's really critical that we meet before you do too much. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Because in this market, there might be a gap of competition, or there may not be as many homes on the market and you don't have to do as much as you thought you needed to do. And the other flip side is unless if there's a lot of stuff to do, you either do all of it to get your money for it. But if you do 1 or 2 things, but you still have other things wrong with the house or dated, you might lose money. So you're spending money that might not make you money back. I can tell you if adding a bedroom or adding square footage will probably add money to the bottom line. Or you might even consider selling just a little bit less and not taking that risk and getting the house sold and not spend $30,000 like other realtors are going to tell you to do to get your house ready. If you even sold for $20,000 or $10,000 less, you still might be one of the best deals on the market and not spend the $30,000 to get $10,000 more for your house. I just need to come see the house, see what you got going on, have you tell me what you're thinking. And obviously when they're going through, I'll tell them if that makes sense, that makes sense. In fact, most of the time I say, you know, if you love painting, then you should paint. It will help. But do you have to? No. Do you have to put trim through the house? No. But if you like putting trim up, yeah, do it. It'll help. Everything will help. So staging, the other thing was staging. Guys, I'm telling you, this is, I'm telling you this from a guy that sells 100 homes a year. And I'm telling you this from a guy that sold 3,000 homes in his career. And this is my standard script. Here's your staging. You just want to clear the house out so there's no more than 1 or 2 things on every wall, shelf, or flat surface. No more than 1 or 2 things on every wall, shelf, or flat surface. And anything that you leave out would be ideal if it's something that you might see like in a model home or something, right? But all your papers, your personal belongings, paper towel rolls, toasters, your family pictures, toothbrushes in the bathroom. Here's what you do. Set a box in the middle of the room, turn on an egg timer for 15 minutes, unpack the cabinet with everything you don't need for the next 3 to 4 months, right? Just unpack, throw it in the box, set it in the garage. And I want you to go through the whole house and do that. Then I want you to go back through again and take everything off the shelves and put it in the cabinets. You're just going to live out of the cabinets, right? Selling a house is not necessarily fun. Living out of the cabinets to make an extra $15,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 equity, it's worth it. So that's how I get them staged properly. Okay. So it's just scripts and just talking real. Now that sounds easy to do. There has been people that are hoarders. They called me back the day after I was at their house and their house was empty. Now their garage was stacked to the ceiling, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've sold enough homes to tell you a garage does not stop a house from selling. When I tell them to stack it, they're not throwing it in there. I say stack it in the farthest least obvious corner, stack it to the ceiling, and just keep filling it in until you get as much out of the house as possible. So I try to make them stack it and organize it decent so they can see some part of the garage. Put it in the garage. They don't need to clean out closets. They need to clean out the master bedroom and the kitchen. Other great opportunities, you guys. If you're going to do anything, create a system for it. If you're going to do open houses, create a system to capture their information, put them on a follow-up plan, and stay in touch with them so you can get back in front of them. Direct mail, same thing. But I like sending out the stat high-low from your MLS. Just pull up the subdivision last 6 months or last year, send them the highest price that sold, send them the average price and the average days on market. Those are three things that they're like, oh, they got that for their house. We ought to call him. And on there say, I am the Lake Winnebago neighborhood specialist. And it's got my real estate information. Client parties. If you're going to have a client party, have them invite friends. Set it up to where you are put on a pedestal. We got 3 referrals from every client party that we ever did because we made it on purpose for them to introduce us, bring us up, say, hey, we're glad you guys came to enjoy the home with them. And we're available for you guys too. And we would be on purpose to ask them to ask their friends to say, hey, are you thinking about doing anything? You should call Brad. Business networking events. They are on follow-up plans, telling them I'm selling real estate. I'm selling real estate. I'm selling real estate. So here we are right at the top of our hour. Congratulations to you for investing in your business and watching this webinar. Did you watch it all the way through? Did you take notes? Did you write down Brad Korn, K-O-R-N? Are you tracking me down? Send me a message. Let me know you just watched this. However you can find me, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I don't care. Find me anywhere. Call my cell phone, right? Just track me down and let me know you watched this and what you thought of it and what you took away from it. And more importantly, what did you get most excited about and what are you going to do to implement it? That way we can keep in touch and I can follow up and see if you got it implemented. And if you didn't, let's find out why. And I can help you get through that and start doing it, whether that's door knocking an entire neighborhood or whatever. So here's the easy way to do it. Go to everyagent100.com, free. There's not like a splash page. You're not going to go to some page where you got to pay money and buy something or do whatever. It's the stuff I talk about is just a free resource site that has all this stuff on there. This one, by the way, will be added since I am just now sharing it with you guys. Even though I've talked about it forever, it's not one that's on there right now. But what I will know is that you watch this because you're going to put in the comments, I saw your listing webinar, or I saw your 100 homes a year webinar. That tells me what follow-up system to put you on so I can keep sending this stuff back out to you and help you get this stuff implemented. Guys, I am here to help you double and triple your business. We are at the best. We are at the company that is going to go to new heights. In my career so far, I've always been at the #1 company, and I wasn't the first one on board. Gene Frederick beat me to that, right? He beat me to the last one too, but I got in at the right time when it was still going to #1 and we were #1. Guys, I am here today because this is the next one that's going to #1. It's just starting. So if we start doing this stuff now and get you into production, I just know you're going to be able to take advantage of the second revenue stream, which is rev share. So anyway, that's what I'm here for. Brad Korn, Kansas City, all your referrals, and make sure I know who you are so I know where to send referrals. Get them every day, all day from agents all around the country. Everyagent100.com. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell somebody, your leadership, your brokers, whoever, what you thought of the webinar. And let's get the word out there and blast this company off to outer space. All right. I'm off my soapbox now. Have fun. See you later.